Today, we celebrate the feast of St. John Bosco, the friend and the teacher of youth. It's a great day for both the Salesian fathers and the sisters as he is the founder of our congregations. Well, who is Don Bosco? Let us watch.
John Bosco, lovingly called as Johnny, was born on 16 August 1815 in a small hillock called Becchi in Piedmont, Italy. He was the youngest son of Francesco Bosco and Margherita Occhiana. From then on, his mother took the role of a father as well and taught him Catholic faith and to live according to the gospel values. She taught her children that work was a privilege and thus to do them with joy. Johnny learned from his mother to see God in the poor, sick, and the needy. At the age of 9, John saw a dream which gave him a hint that God was calling him to become a priest.
When I was about 9 years old, I had a dream that left a profound impression on me for the rest of my life. I dreamt that I was near my home in a very large playing field where a crowd of children were having fun. Some were laughing, others were playing, and many were cursing. I was so shocked at their language that I jumped in their midst and I started swinging my fist wildly and shouting at them to stop. At that moment, a man appeared, nobly attired, with a manly, imposing bearing. He was clad with a white, flowing mantle, and his face radiated with such light that I could not look directly at him. He called me by name and told me to place myself as leader over those boys. He went on to say, "You will have to win these friends of yours, not with blows, but with gentleness and kindness. So begin right now to show them that sin is ugly and virtue beautiful." Well, I was confused and afraid. I replied that I was only a boy, unable to talk to these youngsters about religion. And then the fighting and shouting and cursing stopped, and the crowd of boys gathered about the man who was now talking. Almost unconsciously, I asked, "But how can you order me to do something that seems so impossible?" And he said, "What seems so impossible, you must achieve by being obedient and acquiring knowledge." "But where and how?" I begged. "I will give you a teacher, under whose guidance you will learn, and without whose help all knowledge becomes foolishness." "Who are you?" I asked. And then he said, "I am the son of her whom your mother has taught you to greet 3 times a day." I said, "My mother told me not to talk to strangers without her permission, so please tell me your name." Just then, I saw beside him a lady of majestic appearance, wearing a beautiful mantle, glowing as if adorned with stars. She saw my confusion mount, so she beckoned me to her. Taking my hand with great kindness, she said, "Look." And so I did. All of the children had vanished, and in their place I saw many animals, goats, dogs, cats, bears, and a variety of others. She said to me, "This is your field. This is where you must work. Make yourself humble, steadfast, and strong. And what you see happen to these animals, you will have to do for my children." I looked again, and all the wild animals had turned into as many lambs, gently playing, crying out a welcome for that man and lady. At this point in my dream, I started to cry. I begged the lady to explain what it all meant because I was so confused. She placed her hand on my head and said, "In due time, everything will be clear to you."
Gradually, he started to attract many young friends through games, magic shows, juggling, and acrobatics. He would catechize them through prayers and gospel values. This transformed the life of his little friends. In order to continue such works, he wanted to become a priest. At the age of 20, he entered the seminary in a town called Chieri. He was ordained as a priest on 5th June 1841, from when he was known as Don Bosco. He started to dedicate his entire life for the good of the soul of young boys, whom he had seen in his dream.
Once he visited the prisons along with his spiritual director Saint Giuseppe Cafasso. He was shocked to see so many young boys in the prison. There he took the decision of doing everything that is possible in order to prevent those young boys from landing up in the prisons. He started his work with a single boy called Bartolomeo Garelli on 8th December 1841. Gradually the number increased. Every Sunday, they would gather in different places for oratory where Don Bosco would celebrate Mass for them, hear their confessions, and give them spiritual talks, which used to transform those boys. In order to entertain them, he used to take them for picnics and outings. He also used to train them in some skills to make them fit in the society and earn their living. He consumed his life for the good and welfare of the poor boys.
In order to continue the good works he started for the young boys, in 1859 he started a new congregation called the Society of St. Francis de Sales, commonly known as the Salesians of Don Bosco. Later, in order to do the same work for the welfare of the poor young girls, he started another congregation of women called as the Daughters of Mary Help of Christians, commonly known as the Salesian Sisters of Don Bosco. Today, the Salesian Fathers are spread in 133 countries, and the Salesian Sisters are working in 90 countries.
On 31st January 1888, Don Bosco breathed his last with his recommendation.
Do not ever forget these three things: devotion to Blessed Sacrament, devotion to Mary Help of Christian, and devotion to Holy Father.
He was beatified on 2nd June 1929 by Pope Pius XI and canonized on 1st April 1934 by the same Pope. Before concluding, let us recall to our minds some of the words of St. John Bosco, especially to the young.
My children, jump and play and make all the noise you want, but avoid sin like the plague, and you will surely gain heaven. To know that you are young is sufficient reason for me to care for your welfare. I care for you because you have in your heart the treasure of virtue. Learn to flee from bad companions and bad books. Instead, look for good ones. One can have much fun without offending God.
With these words, I wish you all a happy feast of St. John Bosco. May he intercede for all of us to live a virtuous life. In a special way, let us pray through his intercession for all who are suffering due to this pandemic. May they be comforted and healed at the earliest. May the radiance of His holiness spread throughout the world and keep everyone safe, cheerful, and contented. God bless us all.